Hey YouTube!
What's up?
Alright guys, let's be real. There have been a lot of breakups happening on YouTube recently, so we wanted to find out what's going on.
One of our YouTube friends who works with the BBC also made a documentary about this recently. YouTube couples, how to stay in love.
He asked a lot of interesting questions and we wanted to continue the conversation.
One of the questions that the documentary asked is YouTube behind these breakups? What do you think? Do you think that YouTube has the power to destroy relationships?
No.
Explain.
I think it can contribute in some ways, but I think ultimately a relationship has to have a solid foundation before you go into YouTube. So if there's a couple that already is kind of not meant to be together necessarily, and then they dive headfirst into creating a channel, becoming public figures, obviously that's not going to help the situation. But I think if you are a couple that has a solid foundation, you know what you expect from each other, you have good communications, and then you go into YouTube, I don't think that YouTube is going to cause further problems necessarily. What do you think?
I think that's giving YouTube a lot of credit to say that it can destroy relationships. There is definitely some aspect of just putting your life out there that could put pressure on a relationship, but that's pressure that a couple can work through. It's not necessarily something that will throw everything off base. But if you're adding that pressure to an already stressful situation, then things could go downhill.
So on the flip side of that, do you think that YouTube is causing couples that probably shouldn't be together to stay together?
That I think is true actually. And I think it's kind of similar like when you have parents who have a kid and they want to get divorced, but they're like, let's stay together for the baby. Like the YouTube channel is the baby. Whether the baby is like they want fame or money or like they just like this project they've built together. Also it probably does like bring people together on some level. It's like, well, nothing else is working out, but like at least we have the channel. So yeah, I think YouTube could prolong a relationship that's sort of doomed to end. Another question that's been raised is, do you think it's different for gay couples versus straight couples on YouTube?
This I find very problematic. I've heard people say that they think a gay YouTube couple is more likely to be doomed than a straight couple, and I think that's actually a very dangerous narrative to put forth. First of all, I don't think there's really any evidence of that to be true. And second of all, there really shouldn't be a difference between gay couples and straight couples on YouTube, so I don't see there being a reason to suggest that there is. Do you think that YouTube relationships are really all that different from regular relationships?
I don't know. I kind of don't think so. I think that all of the same problems that YouTubers are facing are also being faced by couples that are off the air. But you just know about these couples that are on YouTube because they're on YouTube. So they're sort of airing their whole relationship out to the public. I also think the dating landscape is very different these days than it was 10 years ago, and that's even without YouTube in the equation. I think like with the advent of apps, people are just getting more picky these days. If you go on a date with someone, you're like, oh, I don't really like that aspect of them. Rather than being like, well, I do like all these other things, let's try to make it work. You're like, okay, I'll just swipe and try to find someone else.
Again, it comes down to that whole concept of instant gratification, which I just talked about with millennials in general and young people. The idea that you can go into a date and know in the back of your mind that if this doesn't work out, or even if you just find one flaw, there's 50 other people on Tinder that you can swipe through and try again later. And I think you're right. I think that makes people more picky because they're less willing to put the time in to see beyond those initial flaws. That's not to say if there's a giant red flag, you should be like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna worry about that one, let it go, you know, I'm sure he's not a serial killer.
But the fact of the matter is that these relationships do end on YouTube. So what do you think the post-breakup etiquette is?
Oof, I think there are two ways to consider it. If two YouTubers had their own channels and then came together, posted videos on each channel, and then they go their separate ways, that's fine. They each continue to have a platform, they can each air their side of the story. When there's a channel that grew together where both people started one individual channel together and then they break up and one of those two people ends up with the channel and the other one kind of loses that platform, that's where I think you need to be a little bit more thoughtful with how you use the platform going forward.
I feel like if you break up, the channel should be absolved.
So with all that being said, do you think that being a couple on YouTube has affected us in any particular ways?
That's why I made this video, because people saw all these breakups and then came to us, we're like, does this mean you're breaking up? What does this mean for the future of love? And it's kind of weird because a lot of people come to us and they're like, you make me believe in love, you are the idea of a perfect couple. That's a really high standard to live up to, and it's a lot of pressure to live up to. So when you see people on YouTube, like you're kind of seeing the best version of their relationship. One thing that the documentary did say is that YouTube couples fight a lot about what they're gonna produce, and that's definitely true. Almost before every every video, we're like, how do you want to do this? What kind of narrative do you want to have? What questions should we ask? What are we going to vlog? What are we going to shoot? Should we reshoot that? So that's definitely true, but I think that that kind of bickering and fighting is common in any kind of business that people own. And those are conversations that should be happening. But if that's the cause of your breakup, then you were going to break up anyway. Like, that wasn't something that YouTube caused. It maybe might have made it happen a little bit sooner, but it was still going to happen if your relationship was doomed to begin with.
I also think that the concept of couples running a business together has existed since the dawn of time. So YouTube is just another business. I don't think it's gonna cause more breakups compared to a couple that owns a bakery together.
So when it comes down to us, I actually think YouTube has strengthened our relationship. If anything, we've had our fair share of issues, but I don't think it's been related to YouTube. I think it's just stuff that's happening in our lives in general. Some of it we share with you guys, some of it is private and we don't share with you. But either way, YouTube's not causing that stress.
It gives us a project that we're both passionate about that we can work on together. We get to see each other's strengths. We get to see each other's weaknesses too. But ultimately, I think it's continued to foster our relationship and also creates conversations that we might not be having if it weren't for YouTube.
So what do you think? Do you think YouTube can break people up? Do you think it's responsible for these breakups that are happening? Or do you think that breakups just happen anyway and now you're learning about them through YouTube?
So let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Of course, if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button. We're here every single weekend. I'm Beep.
I'm Beep.
We're two Beeps.
Peacing out.
Beeps out.
Beeps out. Last week we made a video where this Beep shaved all of this off and I shaved all of this off. Believe it or not, it's already growing back.
Wow, that's faster than I would have expected.
So you should click here to watch that video. It was a lot of fun. I like making it with you. Did you like making it with me?
I love making it with you.
Alright guys, we'll see you next time.